Hi everyone, Janie here. Welcome back to my garden. I cannot believe that I'm saying this, but we are just about at the halfway point for our gardening season here in Northern California, Zone 9B. Our last frost is right around the end of February. Our first frost usually isn't until late November, early December, but I kind of think the season kind of wraps up around October. So we're basically halfway, which is crazy. I've said it before. I feel like this year is absolutely just flying by. It's been wonderful. We've had a really cool spring and now we're starting to warm up and we're getting into the summer temperatures. But I thought a fun video for today, since we're about halfway through, would be to show you all what I consider to be my top performers thus far. Now, of course, we haven't gotten into real summer season where all the plants that really respond well to heat haven't started like completely performing yet. So this isn't an exhaustive list, right, for the year. I'll probably do another video like this at the end of the year. But thus far, the first half of the season, I wanted to show you what plants I thought were doing great. Now, of course, this is going to change year to year based on how long of a spring we had, what the temperatures are, how much rain we had over the winter. You know, there's all these different factors, and I feel like plants can shine one year and then can struggle another year. So I just thought it would be fun. I've been kind of thinking about this in the back of my mind, like, wow, that plant is doing so well this year. So let me take you around the garden and let me show you my top 6 performers thus far this year. So this list is in no particular order except for this first one. This first one I think deserves the top spot because I think it's just performing that well, and it's probably the plant I'm most excited about this year. And that plant is Stratosphere White Gaura. Isn't this just absolutely stunning? So otherwise known as butterfly flower because the blooms kind of look like little butterflies. You can see what a gorgeous, wispy, ethereal look this Gaura gives to the garden. This is back by my greenhouse in what I'm calling my moon garden. I just cannot get over this plant. And now I have actually never planted Gaura before, so I think I've just been missing out on the beauty of this plant. But oh my gosh, you guys, I love it so much. And another reason why I love it is because the bees are all over it, which is making these really tall bloom stalks kind of sway. So I will look out in the garden and I'll see these guys that, you know, will have zero wind, but the blooms will still be swaying because the bees on the butterflies are kind of landing on them. And it's just been so much fun. So this is the Stratosphere variety. This is white. I have pink in the front, and it says it gets 2 feet tall. Now, let's see. Here's my arms straight out. And you can see, right, I'm 5'7", and so you can see like this bloom stalk is about 5.5 feet tall. This guy, these are way taller than 2 feet, which I personally really like. If you look on the Proven Winners website, they talk about, you know, they're saying like you can cut it back to give it a tidier appearance. And if you cut it back, the bloom stalks will be shorter and closer to the leaf canopy. And so, you know, it'll be a smaller plant. I personally don't want a smaller plant. I like how big and beautiful this plant is. And I'm considering wrapping the entire greenhouse in this Gaura because I just think it would be so, so pretty. I'm absolutely in love with it. For the zones, it's zones 6 to 10. So it covers a pretty wide range of you guys. And so like this is a perennial for us. Like I'm going to be able to have this in my garden year after year. And I just think it's beautiful, and it's only June and this plant is supposed to handle heat really, really well. So I cannot wait to see how this plant is going to perform even later on in the season. And oh my goodness, I am not going to be cutting it back. They say if you do cut it back, you can either go through and cherry pick the certain ones that you want to cut back, or you can go through and cut them all off, but then you're going to be without blooms for about 3 weeks. So it's kind of up to you what you want. And I think it's more important is where is it? I'll show you the pink Gaura that I have in my zigzag planter that's looking just as beautiful, but I cannot get over this plant. I am just absolutely in love with it. So back up in my front garden, this is my zigzag planter on my front porch. And in the zigzag planter, I planted Stratosphere Pink Gaura. And so it's just a little bit different color. I don't know. I don't know which one I like more. They're both absolutely beautiful. I'm noticing the pink Gaura is a little bit shorter than the white Gaura, but that also might be because this Supertunia Tiara Pink might be completely smothering it. But it is just an absolute beautiful specimen of a plant, and I am so happy that I finally planted it this year because I'm going to have it in my garden forevermore. It's just so beautiful. Next on my list, I just want to apologize because I know I've been talking about this plant just absolutely like nonstop because I love it that much. And that is my El Niño Chitalpa. So this plant, this shrub, is actually on my Best for the West list. It's one of those, they call it a unicorn plant, and I think that that is the perfect way to describe it. Now, mine is just a baby. I just planted it last fall. It is going to get probably double height here. It's going to get about 10 feet tall, 10 feet wide. It can get up to 15 feet tall. So El Niño Chitalpa is a combination plant, a mix, a hybrid between a desert willow and a catalpa. Both plants do really, really well in my hot climate. But what you end up with are these beautiful, look at how gorgeous that is. It's almost like it's a mix between an orchid and a snapdragon. It's just absolutely stunning. Now, the one thing I will say is everybody talks about how good this plant smells, and for the life of me, it smells like nothing to me, which is so sad because I had my friend Raphael walk by this the other day and he went, "What is that smell? What is that smell?" And it was this, you guys, and I can't smell it. So don't take my word for it, but even though I can't smell it, I still think it is just a beautiful, beautiful plant. It is zone 6 through 9. It is deciduous, so it loses all its leaves in the wintertime. And then you can cut it back in the spring. Now, I actually, we had some help here spreading the mulch, and they actually ran into this plant and knocked off one of the branches, way shorter than all the other branches. But you can't even tell because this guy has grown so fast and so beautifully that you can't even tell that one of the branches got knocked off. Really, really gorgeous. I have added 2 more in the center island, and I've been talking about this plant nonstop because it's so easy care. There's nothing I have to do with it. Now, I will say last year, by the end of the season, it did have a lot of aphids on it. So I'm waiting to see, as the season goes on, is it going to start getting attacked by aphids or not? But thus far in the season, it has just been an absolute rock star, and you guys need this plant in your garden. I know it's hard to get a hold of these days. It is a relatively new plant for Proven Winners, but just try your best to get a hold of it. Go buy the tiniest one you can find, right? Just like, it doesn't even matter because it grows so fast, so quickly. You will not be disappointed by having this plant in your garden. The next top performer I have so far this season is another shrub. It's one I've talked about many, many times. I apologize again, but it is Miss Molly Butterfly Bush. This butterfly bush is the queen of all butterfly bushes. It is absolutely beautiful, non-stop blooms, and it has this gorgeous saturated pink color that I just cannot get over. So this plant is pretty much at full height right now at this point, 4 to 5 feet tall. It will get a little bit wider, 4 to 5 feet wide. I will be coming in here and I will be deadheading just to make sure that it keeps blooming, but there are bees, there are butterflies, there are hummingbirds all over this plant. I absolutely love it, and I cannot get over what a fabulous, fabulous plant it is. And this plant it's really well used around my area. There's a lot of gardeners and landscapers that use this plant just because it's such a good performer as compared to other butterfly bushes that sometimes will get really leggy and not look so good. This one's just beautiful. Let me show you the other 2 that I have in my garden. I have this guy over here. Now this one is younger. This one and that one, if you could see with the sun, that one right there. They are both younger. I planted them after the first one I just showed you. So they're still a little smaller, but they're still blooming like crazy. This one gets a little, actually both of these get a little bit more shade than the other one does because of this fig tree right here and then because of my lime tree right there. But they're both still so beautiful and have so many blooms on it. And you can see I have not deadheaded it, which I should, and it'll bloom even more, but there's more buds all over this one. So I'm going to be getting continued flowers for a very, very long time. So it's up to you how much work you want to put in, deadheading or not. Sorry about the sun, you guys. There we go. It's up to you how much work you want to put in, deadheading or not. Make it look really neat and tidy, or just kind of let it go, and you're still going to get this beautiful color. Okay, now, plain the blue salvia is not on my list because I thought it would be a little redundant because I talk about this plant all the time, you guys. This is just the most wonderful, best performing plant. If you are a beginner gardener or if you're a lazy gardener and you don't want to deal with it, plant this guy. This is plain the blue salvia. There's also Mystic Spires blue salvia that's a little bit less floriferous than this one, but, but it's not on my list because I talk about this plant all the time. Let me talk about another plant that I don't talk about all the time, and that is Verbena de la Mina. I have this one plant here. It has been blooming, I am not kidding, since I think January, maybe February. It is non-stop blooming. It is a gorgeous verbena. This is another one. This is Jason's favorite plant in the garden because he says he just loves the smell so much. I cannot smell this plant. I don't know what's wrong with me. I have a really good sense of smell, but I just cannot smell this plant. But apparently it smells really good. But the reason why it's on my list is because this plant has not stopped blooming. I have not deadheaded it. I've done absolutely nothing to it. There's been bees and there's been butterflies and hummingbirds all over this plant, absolutely nonstop. And it's just been so nice to have this color since so early on in the season. And I know, because I've grown this plant before, that this plant is going to continue blooming throughout the rest of the season. So it is just a workhorse of a plant. It is another one that's a little bit difficult to get your hands on, Verbena de la Mina. This is not a proven winners plant. Most of the plants that I have in my garden are proven winners plants, but this one is not. But if you can find this one, grab it and put it in your garden. You will not be disappointed. It's not like, like, what do I say? It's not going to steal your attention away from other plants, but it is just a quiet workhorse that's going to sit in your garden, and it's going to bloom and it's going to bloom and it's going to bloom, and you're going to appreciate it. Okay, so next plant, or tree, I should say, on my list that I think deserves a spot on my list are these trees right here. These are called fern pines, or Podocarpus gracilior. And again, kind of like Verbena de la Mina, they're not like in your face, oh my gosh, you're going to pay so much attention to these. They're kind of background plants. They're supposed to be hedging type trees. They can get up to 60 feet tall. Mine are new. I just planted them last fall. They'll get up to 60 feet tall and about 20 feet wide. And the really great thing about these trees is that you can prune them any way you want. You can espalier them, you can make them into cones, you can make them into standards. They're just a really, really, they'll do whatever you want. They'll perform for you however you want, which is just so cool. The reason why it's on my list is these guys, they're evergreen, so they haven't lost any leaves over the winter time. I have had this green here since I planted them last fall. They have not skipped a beat, literally have not skipped a beat. When we planted them, we planted a whole bunch of trees at the same time, and we were calling it tree fall. We planted, I think, 23 different trees. We've lost one. We had other ones that really, really suffered and went into total shock. But these fern pines, these Podocarpus gracilior that I planted, they did not go into shock. They just sat there and they started growing and they started putting on some new growth. There's probably a foot of new growth already, and they have just been rock stars in my garden. Now, I do have to say, I want to apologize because these are only hardy zones 9 through 11. So they are for warm weather gardens. So all of you cooler weather gardeners and more mild climates, cooler climates, these aren't going to work for you, but you also have all the beautiful conifers that are going to work for you that don't work for us when we live in hotter areas. So those of you who live in warm climates, zone 9 and above, look at a podocarpus. You'll be shocked as to where you can kind of fit it into your garden, create a green backdrop. You know, these are eventually going to block out my neighbor's garden or my neighbor's yard and house. But these have just been so beautiful. They've just been like I haven't even thought about them. I just planted them there and then that was it. I didn't have to worry about them at all, which is a really, really wonderful thing to have in your garden. Something that you just don't have to worry about. So these guys have been rock stars in my garden. So far this year, I couldn't be more happy with them. So the last plant I want to share with you all today is pretty much the opposite from the no maintenance Podocarpus gracilior. And that is Supertunia Tiara Pink. Now, I don't want to give it a bad rap because it's a Supertunia. Supertunias, you have to fertilize them. They are bred to bloom absolutely constantly throughout the season. Because of that, that means that they need a little bit of extra fertilizer. So I have been fertilizing these Supertunia Tiara Pink every single week with Proven Winners water-soluble fertilizer. I also have budworms where I live, and we have had kind of bad budworms this year, like kind of intense budworms this year. And these guys, as of right now, I am dealing with a budworm infestation, not only on my hanging baskets, but also on my zigzag planter. And I've been treating them like crazy. They're starting to flush back right now, but I will show you guys the effects of the budworms if it gets out of hand. But I still had to put this plant on my list. Supertunia Tiara Pink is a new Supertunia for Proven Winners. It is just, it's going to be a classic. It is such a good plant, you guys. It is such a good one. So let me show you this side of the zigzag planter first, because this side has been less affected by the budworms. But basically in my zigzag planter, I planted the Supertunia Tiara Pink. I planted the Stratosphere Pink Gaura. I have totem pole grasses that are going to get about 6 feet tall. They're just starting to grow right here. And then I also have some Whirlwind Blue Scaevola that is maybe not keeping up with the Supertunia Tiara Pink. I knew Tiara Pink was a good performer because I planted it in front of my office in some pots last year, and I could tell that it was performing really well. I did not know how well actually it was going to perform. I mean, it is June and they are taking over the zigzag planter. They are so beautiful. I love the color. If you look at Tiara, the Tiara series have a white throat and they fade out into the color, so it almost makes it look like they're glowing, which is so beautiful. But let me take you around the other side and you can really see the effects of the budworms. So can you guys see that? So the Supertunias should be looking like this all over, but because of the budworms, and I know for sure they're budworms because I was out here last night spraying BT and I found massive budworms. I found like 6 of them and I was just picking them off and throwing them as far as I could. Oh my gosh. And then one actually started climbing up my ankle. I'm not even kidding. It was like it's been a bad infestation this year. So you can see the effects of the budworms. They have been eating all the buds, but they're starting to flush back because we've been super on top of it for the last, 10 days or so. So I'm starting to get a whole bunch of new buds, and you can see these new buds are not eaten, which is a really good sign. So Supertunia Tiara Pink, I was like, I shouldn't talk about it in this video because, it's obviously been affected by budworms, but that is like a fraction of the time that they have been showing off all season long. They're so beautiful. I cannot believe how well they're growing. They are comparable to bubblegum. Honestly, I still think bubblegum probably wins out for vigor, but they are pretty darn comparable. They are a beautiful plant. And honestly, once you know the problem, I know it's budworms. It's a very easy thing to treat. The reason why, I think personally, the reason why the budworms are so intense this year is because we had a very, very slow warm up. A lot of times in our area, we go from basically winter to summer. So basically it's cool, and then all of a sudden, boom, it gets hot. And we all kind of know what to expect. And this year it was a lot more gradual, which was so wonderful, so pleasant. But that also made us not as on top of it with things, right? Because like usually for spraying BT, Bacillus thuringiensis, which is what will manage the budworms on your Supertunias and Superbenas, we didn't get started prophylactic spraying until like a month later than normal. And so that was our fault, of course. And so I don't want you guys seeing the budworms to sway you from trying the Supertunia Tiara Pink, because they are just such a fabulous, fabulous plant, and they've been such a great performer so far this year. So anyway, those are my top 6 picks for plants that have performed amazingly so far this season. I cannot wait to see what else is going to perform really well. My summerific hibiscus are looking really good, so I have high hopes for those guys. But I want to know what plants are performing really well in your gardens this year. Which ones are working well for you? Let us know where you live, what zone you live in, but what plants are just knocking your socks off this year. Because it's so fun to kind of go back and forth, and I always get great ideas from you guys when you leave the comments about certain plants to try and all that kind of stuff. So these are my plants that I think you guys should try. What are your plants that you think that we all should try? I hope you all enjoyed this, and I hope you all have a chance to get in your garden today.